participation here in this very important conference. Today we are commemorating 177 Foundation Day of State of Jammu and Kashmir. And it was on 16 March. The state was created on 16 March 1846, but our colleagues were used to come during this session. We are a little bit late, but today we are commemorating our Foundation Day of State of Jammu and Kashmir. And second session we will start later. We are very happy to announce that renowned Kashmiri nationalist leader Mahmood Kashmiri Sahib, he is going to join United Kashmir People's National Party. And with the core of heart, we welcome you, sir, in United Kashmir People's National Party. We assure you that you will never regret. We give you full honor, our cooperation with you, and you will lead us in United Nations, in United Kingdom, and everywhere where you will go, we will stand with you. Warm welcome, sir. And I will give floor to Mahmood Kashmiri Sahib. He will announce officially.
I think first sessions should be in our language. Second session we will proceed in English.
Yeah, he can speak in English or words.
Yeah. Any language.
Yeah.
This is the historical moment. I think
Yeah.
he will better express his view.
Yeah. Yeah, he can speak in. Yeah. Yeah.
बल्कि आप खड़े होकर अगर तालियों बजाएं महमूद साहब के लिए
I ask my comrades to present me flower. Wait. Please take me.
बहुत शुक्रिया
दोस्तों का यूकेपीएनपी के तमाम दोस्तों की ख्वाहिश थी कि मैं यूकेपीएनपी को ज्वाइन करूं और यूकेपीएनपी के साथ मेरा बड़ा पुराना तल्लक है। सरदार शौकत अली कश्मीरी साहब मेरे बड़े पुराने दोस्त हैं और बहुत अच्छा हुआ हम इकट्ठे मिलकर काम कर रहे थे और यही एक तरीका है, जितने हम ज़्यादा करीब होंगे एक दूसरे के साथ मिलकर काम करेंगे तो वो जो है एक मज़बूत तहरीक बनेगी, मज़बूत तंजीम बनेगी और अपनी मुनक़सम रियासत जम्मू कश्मीर को मुत्तहिद करने के लिए हम सब लोग जो है बेहतर तरीके से आगे बढ़ सकते हैं। तो मैं आज जो है वो यूकेपीएनपी में शामिल होने का ऐलान करता हूँ और इस उम्मीद के साथ कि हम बेहतरीन काम करेंगे, आगे बढ़ेंगे, दुनिया भर में जहाँ कहीं भी मौका मिलेगा अपनी मुनक़सम रियासत जम्मू कश्मीर की आज़ादी, इसकी वक़ार और वहदत के लिए जो है आगे मिलजुल कर आगे बढ़ेंगे। और चूँकि 16 मार्च 1846 के हवाले से भी मैं चंद बातें रखना चाहता हूँ। हमारी रियासत जो है जिसे जम्मू कश्मीर कहा जाता है, 1846 से पहले 16 मार्च 1846 से पहले हमारी रियासत जो है वो तकसीम थी। उस पर मुग़लों का कब्ज़ा था, अफ़गानों का कब्ज़ा था, सिखों का कब्ज़ा था और महाराजा गुलाब सिंह मैं समझता हूँ वो हमारी रियासत का एक दूरअंदेश बहादुर लीडर था, हुक्मरान था, जिसने इस पूरी रियासत को इकट्ठा किया। आज वही वो जो रियासत यूनाइटेड नेशन के अंदर जब बात होती है तो उसी रियासत की बात होती है जो 16 मार्च 1846 को थी। इससे पहले वाली हमारी जो रियासत है अगर उसको देखा जाए तो उसकी सरहदें बड़ी दूर दूर तक थी। अगर उसकी बात की जाए तो बहुत सारे ममालिक उस ज़मीन पर बन चुके हैं। लिहाजा आज हम सब मिलकर अपनी रियासत को एक बार फिर मुतहद करने की कोशिश करेंगे और महाराजा गुलाब सिंह को हम सलाम पेश करते हैं, जिनकी रियासत है उसी की बहाली की हम बात करते हैं। आप सब दोस्तों का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया।
Thank you very much, Mahmood Kashmiri Sahib. Welcome in United Kashmir People's National Party. He said that we will jointly work together for the reunification of our state of Jammu and Kashmir. And we welcome you, sir. Now I give floor to Sardar Shaukat Ali Kashmiri Sahib. He is the chairman of United Kashmir People's National Party.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank you, all of you, to come here and celebrate our State Foundation Day. I will not take much time of just our comrade Mahmood Kashmiri. Mahmood Kashmiri is a well-known name in our struggle, and currently he is head of one most popular alliance in United Kingdom, that is called Independent National Alliance. Mahmood Kashmiri is a brave person. He always stood for the Kashmiri cause, and he is a very committed person. I know him since many years, although we have the separate political parties, but even then, almost 15 years we are with an alliance and we are working together. Lately, it was very pleasure for me that he took decisions to join our party, and I think a political party, always such kind of a people who have the long history for the struggle, it's a good increment in the party, and I assure you that party will take advantage for your capabilities, for your leadership, and you will never ever regret for these decisions. And today it's very pleasure for me, my party, and on behalf of United Kashmir People's National Party, I welcome you and congratulate you. So we will join hands, and now you are our leader. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sardar Shaukat Ali Kashmiri Sahib. We move forward, and I now introduce my panelists who will speak on the topic universal conception of the human rights and its challenges, state of human rights in Pakistan and its occupied areas. Most of us, we belong to that area which is under Pakistani occupation, whether they are Sindhis, Pashtuns, Baloch, and Kashmiris are commonly known as Azad Kashmir. We mostly belong to that area, but that area is illegally occupied by Pakistan since 1947. And we are struggling peacefully for the reunification of our motherland, and we have been organizing meetings here in United Nations, in Geneva, in different places, to make lobby, to convey our message to international community, that international community, United Nations, and other policy-making bodies should support Kashmiris, should make accountable Pakistan and give us the right to liberty, property, and right to life. We are now begging because they are exploiting our resources, they occupied our land, and our people are denied of basic human rights which we deserve, because Universal Declaration on Human Rights clearly guarantees these our rights, but our area is very much deprived, and we are ruled by Pakistani land officers and military, and their agencies are controlling all the matters in our areas. We have very esteemed panelists today. I introduce one by one, then I will ask them to come at the our friends, they will move
Yes.
their place and then one by one.
Yes.
First, I would like to introduce Sardar Shaukat Ali Kashmiri Sahib. He is the chairman of United Kashmir People's National Party. And sir, if you want to come here or as you like, it's up to you.
I think I am more comfortable here with my colleague.
Yeah.
You can call our guest of honor today.
Yeah. Our guest of honor is today. We are very happy to welcome you, sir, here, Fazal Khan Advocate. He is renowned Pashtun activist and his son was killed by Taliban when they attacked Army Public School in Peshawar. Sir, please. Thank you very much. Take your seat. Now I would like to request Dr. Laku Rohano Sahib. He is the Secretary General of Wells in the Congress. Sir, you have the floor. Please have a seat. Now I request Ms. Shazia Sultana. She is the Executive Director, International Forum for Secular Bangladesh. You are, please take your seat.
इधर जा रहे हैं।
I request Mr. Junaid Qureshi Sahib. He is the, you will speak from there. He is the Executive Director, Asian, European,
Your information.
South Asian Foundation, AFSAS, Asian, sorry, AFSAS, yeah.
European Foundation.
So, yeah, European Foundation for South Asian Studies. Yeah. Now I would like to ask Mr. Munir Mengal Sahib. He is the President of Lodge Pies Association. Please. Stay. I would like to request Mr. Jamil Masood Sahib. He is the Secretary Foreign Affairs, United Kashmir People's National Party. Please take your seat. I request Dr. Joseph. He is the Executive Director, Center for Human Rights and Peace Education. Sir, you will speak from there?
Be comfortable to speak from here.
Okay, sir, thank you. And we request Madam Myra McDonald, former journalist and Reuters bureau chief, and she is author of several books. And Madam, if you come there or you will speak.
I'll here, yeah.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I want to give floor to Mr. Jamil Masood, who is the Secretary Foreign Affairs, United Kashmir People's National Party. Sir, you have the floor.
I will be more comfortable nation from Balochistan, from Pashtunistan, on behalf of the United Kashmir People's Party on the occasion of 177th commemoration day of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, the state of Jammu and Kashmir came into being in the result of first Anglo-Sikh war that happened in the month of March. And there were so many propagandas, misconceptions created to tell the people different stories about the formation of the state in that era. Before 16th of March 1846, there was no state of Jammu and Kashmir as a nation state. So the Treaty of Amritsar, that was the result of Treaty of Lahore, which had two components. One was signed between the Khalsa Darbar and British East India Company on 9th of March 1846, and later that agreement was updated on 11th of March 1846, and then on 16th of March 1846 the Treaty of Amritsar was signed between the Raja of Jammu, Maharaja Gulab Singh, and the representative of British East India Company. So before reading those two previous agreements, the third agreement cannot be understood. And that's why the people who have tried to unjustify the creation of the state of Jammu and Kashmir due to different reasons, due to their religious views, due to their traditional local views, no one can properly understand what was the ingredients, what was the situation, what was the scenario under which the Treaty of Amritsar was signed. So the state was established and that evolved gradually. The Treaty of Amritsar did not exist in the crude form. The later Maharajas, like Maharaja Ranbir Singh, whose reign was the most prominent, pragmatic, and full of reforms, and that was accomplished by the last Maharaja, Maharaja Hari Singh. So the Maharaja Ranbir Singh established and introduced Ranbir Penal Code, RPC, that has been existing since 22nd of October 1947. So it means how visionary he was, that his laws were so good to exist for another 100 years, or maybe less than that. And the last Maharaja, the Maharaja Hari Singh, his period of time was more advanced. He introduced historical state subject on 20th of April 1927, just after 2 years of his coronation. He became the king and he said, "My religion is to provide justice to my people. I am not a Hindu, I am not a Sikh, but justice is my religion." And there are many other examples that he did not defy his position to provide justice to the people. So the state was gradually evolving. I will take little time so that the people who do not know what happened with the people of Jammu and Kashmir 177 years ago. We are repeating our history again and again so that we can remain connected with our land, with our culture, with our history, with our traditions, and with everything that we had during that period of time. If we claim that there was no democracy, there was no democracy in the world at that time. Democracy is a continuation and evolutionary process in the world. Even in many countries in Europe, there was no democracy. And still some people are trying to confuse. But I am coming back to my topic. After introducing state subject rule, that no outsider could buy land in this state. Why? Because land is the primary component that changes the demography, that affects the culture, that affects the language, that changes the entire course of that state. So he stopped everyone. It was no Pakistan, no Bangladesh, no India. It was British India that was colonized by British, by the ancestors of respected Myra MacDonald. So that was the situation. And just after introducing state subject rule, Jammu Kashmir High Court was established in 1928 so that people could have speedy justice. They could seek remedy and redressal against any violation, either by the state agents or the non-state actors, or anyone the people who use their power to fix their internal problems. So the bench and bar was established. And then, one step forward, the political parties were allowed to be established officially and to take part in elections so that people could join democratic process. They could elect their representatives and they could have a say in Darbar, the assembly and the Parja Sabha, like on the model of British House of Commons. Parja means people and Sabha is a gathering. Like us, we are also in a Parja Sabha. We are in a gathering. It was People's Assembly. And then, out of 564 princely states, Jammu and Kashmir was the only princely state that had all these things, all these ingredients, to be recognized as a nation state. But unfortunately, that did not happen because of 2 or 3 reasons. Some people believe that many countries in the world become the victim of geography. Our geography was so important that the state of Jammu and Kashmir had a boundaries with 5 countries in the modern world. And most importantly, Gilgit-Baltistan, Ladakh, and Vale of Kashmir has had its own importance because of its history. We were attacked by the ancestors of our Pashtun friends, and they were used by the British, George Cunningham, with the help of local Muslim clergy and Muslim League leadership of the time. On 22nd of October, a game of death and destruction was inflicted on the non-Muslim population in Muzaffarabad, in Bagh, in Mirpur, in Sadduti, in Rawalakot, and in many other areas. The Gurdwaras were attacked, non-Muslim female were kidnapped, and later they were sold on a very little money in Rawalpindi, Peshawar, and Lahore brothels. And Master Abdul Aziz, who laid down his life while protecting those fellow countrymen in Muzaffarabad. And later, Mr. Maqbool Sherwani offered his life in Baramulla when the tribal invaders, under the guidance and logistical support of Pakistani military, reached in Baramulla. So these are some of very unfortunate incidents that recently happened in our history and in our state, and we were divided into 2 pieces primarily, and lately on 28th of April 1949, Pakistan brazenly, fraudulently signed a so-called Karachi Agreement and took the control of Gilgit-Baltistan, and that did not stop. In March 1963, Pakistan handed over Shaksgam Valley, that is more strategically important, to please China. So now we have 4 parts. And then in 1962 war between China and India, they occupied another territory from Ladakh that is called Aksai Chin. So we are practically divided into 5 pieces. So the Kashmir become a sweet cake for the newly established countries. We were already a sovereign or semi-sovereign state, a nation state, or we were in the process of a nation state, and we lost our freedom. At least we had a freedom. But those were the slaves of British. When they win their freedom, they enslaved us. They enslaved us. They divided us. And from last 75 years, the people in Pakistani occupation, the two peripheries, were totally marginalized in all walks of life. In all walks of life. And today, all the Pakistani political parties are contesting elections in Gilgit and in Muzaffarabad, and they have their government. And local population have no say except to vote. And vote, you can only vote for those who believe in the ideology of state accession to Pakistan. Anyone who do not subscribe that ideology cannot contest elections. And this is one of the most brazen violation of fundamental human rights in 21st century. And it is also the violation of international law. So, dear friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, this is our anger. This is our resentment. This is our, you can say, demand from Pakistan that if that country under Article 257 says something else and do something else contrary to her claims, and her actions are totally different. And I should conclude my words that right from 1949 until 2009, the 2 million population of Gilgit-Baltistan were under FCR, Frontier Crime Regulation, the British law that was introduced in 1893, under which the Renown line was established, and also Pashtun areas were divided. Mr. Fazal Khan, Advocate Saab, is here, and he will shed light more on that topic. And I would say that the current situation is very bleak, very disappointing, that no women is safe in Muzaffarabad. The military personnel and their goons, either in the assembly or out of the assembly, are compelling our young women that they should compromise their honor if they want a job, if they want a treatment, if they want any facility, they have to compromise their honor. And this is one of the most shameful and regrettable situations that now our women are suffering in Muzaffarabad administration and in Gilgit administration. And another phenomenon is every day we are learning that today one Kashmiri young man from Bagh, from Mirpur, from Muzaffarabad is assassinated, killed by unknown people in Rawalpindi. So Rawalpindi is the very next city to our region. So most of the people, due to lack of facilities, lack of many things, migrated to Rawalpindi. And now they are under target. The young boys of 3 years, 4 years, 5 years are routinely kidnapped. One of a little boy of 3 years old from my village, from my native village, went missing near Qaid-e-Azam University, that is called the safe city in Islamabad. Is Islamabad a safe city? What is the use of those cameras? What is the use of that surveillance? If you cannot recover a little boy who cannot even speak, who cannot tell you what is the name of his father, his mother, and eventually we have to support the father of the child because he is only a laborer running a small hotel. The petition was launched at Islamabad High Court. The judge, I'm sorry that I cannot say that honorable judge, because they are not honorable anymore. Their ranking is lowest in the world. So they are not honorable anymore. But the judge asked Inspector General of Police SSP police, MI, ISI, this, that. But the boy is still missing because his father is an ordinary person from Pakistani occupied Punch region. And many others. Like, I will give you one another example. The son of the current session judge Rawla Court, Mr. Yusuf Harun's son, was kidnapped from Rawalpindi in 2014. And it is 2023 now. The case even proceeded at Apex Court, in Supreme Court of Pakistan, but the boy is still missing. So, this was the situation that need to be brought to your attention. You are the presidents of different human rights organizations, working closely with the United Nations Human Rights Council. Madam Myra McDonald is here, and other friends, colleagues, leaders, activists are also here. So once again, we reiterate that we will continue highlight the state of human rights in Pakistani occupied Kashmir and also in Gilgit-Baltistan. And in the last point, I, on my personal behalf, I welcome the most active leader, Mr. Mahmood Kashmiri Sahab. We will work together, we will strive together, and we will win together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Honorable President, Mr. Shaukat Ali Kashmiri, President of United Kashmir People's National Party. Present all our dignitaries, human rights defenders, journalists, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening. Today is March 21st, 2023. Now we are flashback on 1971, 25 March. Operation Searchlight was the code name for a planned military operation carried out by the Pakistan Army as the government of Pakistan, dominated by West Pakistan, now which is Bangladesh. It was the largest genocide ever in the history of mankind. On March 25, 1971, Pakistan Army and their local collaborators, pro-Pakistani Islamist Jamaat-e-Islam, killed 3 million civilian people, raped more than 200,000 women, destroyed most of factories, roads, bridges, culverts, burned houses, and forced to leave the country 10 million people. But the people of Bangladesh who loved freedom, they give their valuable life to free their nations. As a result, 16 December 1971, 9-month fight after born a new country by blood. And now, if we see Pakistan government, they are continue human rights violation in occupied Jammu Kashmir, in Baluch, in Pashtun and Sindhi. Disappearance and genocide happening all the day. We are Bangladeshi people, always protest against the Pakistan Army for their human rights violation. And we are so much solidarity, support to our Kashmiri, Baluch, Sindhi and Pashtun people and community. We would like to assure we are always raise voice here in Geneva, all over the world for our community of Pashtun, Sindh, Baluch, and Kashmiri community. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening, everybody.
Thank you very much. Bangladesh was the part of Pakistan, and Pakistan denied their rights, and they launched military operations there, and they killed hundreds of thousands of innocent people and hundreds of thousands of wounded. Against oppressors, and they got freedom, and we are very much optimistic that we will get freedom one day. All oppressed nations will get freedom. Mr. Junaid Qureshi Sahib, he is the Executive Director of European Foundation for South Asian Studies. Sir, you have the floor. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Shanti, go.
Okay.
Congratulations to Mahmood Kashmiri Sahib. We have been, I've known him for very long, since I was very young, and even now that I've become old, he's still as dynamic and energetic as he used to be. So congratulations on this new chapter in your political life. I said we have one of the guest of honor is, of course, Mr. Fazal Khan, so I would actually like him to speak more. We would like to hear more from him. So I will keep it short, and just on as this is commemorating the Foundation Day of Jammu and Kashmir. I think there is a need for all of us to put things into perspective. I think there are different discourses in Kashmir, but also in India and in Pakistan. Years ago, we used to be raised by hearing that the Maharaja was a very brutal ruler, and he bought us from the Britishers. First of all, again, not to cast any doubts on the Maharaja, but all rulers are brutal, even in today's world. So, and to be frank in that, the Maharaja did constitute a nation state of Jammu and Kashmir, demarcated its borders, gave the people rights. The state's subject right has been given to by the Maharaja. Despite him being a Muslim, a Hindu, he gave this right to everyone, irrespective of their caste, creed, and color. And Jammu and Kashmir is quite a diverse place with different religions, different people. He still kept the place together for 101 years until it was divided during British partition. And I find it, now find it ironic that after we have been divided so many times, while all this period we used to hear propaganda from JKLF and Jamaat Islami and others that the Maharaja bought us and he sold us. Today everyone is clinging on back onto that Maharaja who gave us this state. That's a very ironic, twist of fate. Because without recognizing this faithful day or the ruler of Kashmir who gave it a nation state status, you cannot ask for independence or even accession. Whatever India or Pakistan or China or even the Kashmiri people are asking for is based on this. Otherwise, there is no state of Jammu and Kashmir. So, unfortunately, we came to that conclusion after getting more than 100,000 people killed. in which we all have played a part. That's unfortunate, but maybe by recognizing, acknowledging, reading true history. Because I was talking yesterday to Shaukat Kashmiri Sahab, and he said a very interesting point. I found it very interesting. Anyhow, when Shaukat Sahab talks, he talks very interesting, but this was very interesting because he said, you need to read history without bias. And his reply was, he said, history in itself has its own biases. The trick is to read it and understand without biases. So reading it without bias is maybe not the main thing here, but understanding it without the bias. And maybe that is what we can do to give further to the coming generations, so that they are not as stupid as us and get another 100,000 people killed. I must say the struggle for an independent, united Jammu and Kashmir, in my opinion, has become more and more difficult by the day. We are even more divided than we were in 47. I feel that China's stake is growing day by day within Kashmir, within Jammu and Kashmir. Even today, you have these skirmishes with India on their border, basically in order to get some foothold in Ladakh, as they consider it a part of Tibet. We were just talking before we came here that there is also a theory that Tibet is basically a part of Ladakh, and not Ladakh being a part of Tibet. So I think it has become more and more difficult, but wherever you start, the basis should be unambiguous, and the only unambiguity you have regarding the state of Jammu and Kashmir is that it was formed in 1846 on the 16th of March by, for that time standard, a very visionary leader who ruled the state without discrimination, who gave us indeed what you were talking about, a penal code before it was there in India or in British India, gave us a state subject rule in 1927. And I was just talking about that. He even went against the stated positions of religion. Like in the Maharaja's time, whether it was the unmarried daughter or the married daughter, she would get an equal share to the son, even the Muslim daughters. So that went very, very much against the tide at that time. So I think for his time, he was a very visionary leader, and we all are sitting here. Otherwise, I don't have any connection with people from Mirpur, Kotli, Ladakh. The only thing which makes us one is this nation state, which was given us 100 years before. 100 years before the three nations came into existence, that is today's China, India and Pakistan. So we should be thankful to this, and we hope that we can continue celebrating this every year.
But they say that this state not existing anymore, but if India, Pakistan, even each and every political party and group claiming the state which was created in 1846. It was the credit for founding father, Maharaja Gulab Singh, who created this state, and we should give him this credit that he was the founding father. Otherwise, we have no link, as you said. Ladakh had no link with POK or Gilgit-Baltistan, and people are coming from Pakistani occupied to liberate Srinagar. They have no link if its state was not created on 16 March 1846. Now, I would like to give floor to Dr. Joseph. He is the executive officer, Center for Human Rights and Peace Advocacy.
Thank you very much for that welcome clap. It would have made me very happy, but it's rather making me sad to hear that everywhere in the world, people are struggling to gain back what they lost. People are struggling for freedom. And my discussion with you will center on the universal concept of human rights and its challenges. I would like to replace the word concept with fundamental principle. Because with concept, it has to deal with what different people think. But when it has to do with principle, it's principle. And so the Universal Declaration of Human Rights enunciates the fundamental principle of human rights, which first principle comes from Article 1 of this document, which I will paraphrase with you, the first article, that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and in right. It proceeds by saying that they are endowed with reasons and conscience and should act towards one another in the spirit of brotherhood. This very ending, this very wording of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights already requests us, enjoins us to be brothers, meaning that none of us, brothers and sisters, I hope you will not find fault with me, meaning that if our sister is in pain, we should be in pain. If our brother is in pain, we should be in pain. The equality of human beings means that we have the same nature. And because we have the same nature, we therefore have the same needs. And if we are gathered here, and for all the time that I've known Jammu Kashmir people struggling for their freedom, it's because this right has been violated. It is because some other group of people think that they own the place. Instead of sharing it with us, instead of letting us participate to build our nation, they decided to say they are different, we are different, and for that reason, they are the leaders, we are those who ought to be led. That is not accepted. And so the next principle is the principle of non-discrimination. The principle of non-discrimination, which is enunciated in Article 2 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, says that all the rights that human beings have should be enjoyed without discrimination as to race, color, sex, status, and others. So it's quite vast. And so we see that if we are struggling today, it is because of a systematic violation of this right. And because this right is violated, it therefore means that we cannot participate in the development of our state. Then, coming into the third fundamental principle, which is the principle of participation, enunciated in Article 21 of the same article of the same document, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which says that everybody has a right to take part in the government of his country, call it community, call it family, call it whatever, without obstruction. And that this participation can be direct or indirect. Direct means that you stand, as my dear friend over there, which I wish you well, but one day you will stand as the president of Jammu Kashmir for election, for people to choose. That is direct. And those of us who shall be choosing whoever shall be doing it indirectly. So we all have the same right. While we identify the person who shall represent us in the government, we indirectly participate. And it is said this participation shall be done in a genuine election, genuine periodic election. At this point, I want us to stand up a little. Let's stand up, all of us, a little. Just do me the honor. We are standing up in honor of those who have lost their lives in the struggle to see into it that we all enjoy human rights. Let's sit down.
Thank you.
And so the refusal of this fundamental human right has led to gross human rights violation, which has now caused everybody in the world to seek for one of the most important ones, the self-determination. If we cannot participate in our government, we therefore should be given the right to rule ourselves, to manage ourselves politically, economically, socially. And this is the problem. And this right to self-determination is also one of the cardinal principles in international law, because the Charter of the United Nations already says every people have the right to self-determine. And when you look through almost all the constitutions in the world, they are also saying the people have the right to self-determine. How they self-determine is not the problem. And this is where people die because of the struggle to self-determination, because their rights have been violated and they want to self-determine. And so, ladies and gentlemen, when you look at the universal principle, fundamental principle of human rights, we see that it is like an orphan with facing all the challenges. And it is these challenges that has led to the massive killing, the genocide, the enforced disappearances, and the deaths that we cannot name all. And so I am happy to be talking to people who are aspiring to lead their people. And if you are aspiring to lead your people, it means that you must incorporate and embed the human rights principle into all your actions and all your programs, so that when you are a leader, they will know this is the person who is chosen by God. Thank you very much. And to end, human rights must live like human life. And for it to live, we must go block by block, rooftop to rooftop, door to door, to let the people know. May God bless you.
And we believe that state of Jammu and Kashmir should be accede with Pakistan. Such conditions are there. This is why Kashmir people, they cannot contest election in democratic process. We cannot go, and we have no representation there in any policy making forum of Pakistan. This is unfortunate. Now I would like to give floor to Dr. Lakhu Lohano Sahib. He is the Secretary General of Wealth in the Congress. Sir, you have the floor. Okay.
Thank you very much, UKPNP. Kashmir is a synonym. I've been hearing this since my childhood. It was widely recognized throughout subcontinent. Like Switzerland in the Europe is a synonym for beauty and snow-covered mountains. Kashmir was, hopefully it will become synonym of beauty, of synonym for the heaven on earth. And that heaven has been destroyed. It is divided. The secular fabric that once was pride of Kashmir, with continuous social engineering and investment has been converted to the ugly face of extremism, and Pakistan made it a business opportunity to increase its military, to increase its expenses, to strengthen its military. 4 generations of Kashmir has suffered and continue to suffer to this day. But one thing we need to understand, the modus operandi of these oppressors for all the nations that inhabit Pakistan is the same. Take everything, take all the resources. No question asked. If you ask question, you are gone. Take all the resources. No consideration of any. I mean, we are talking about human rights and Charter of UN human rights. They don't bother of the basic human considerations. Take everything from them. No consideration. I mean, we are talking about lofty terms of climate change and sustainable development and human empowerment and indigenous community and languages. They don't mind. There is a saying in Sindhi that "Pathar parao, suraj sabka pehjar hoye." When we go for condolences to other people or share their grief, we remember our griefs. And while I was here listening, I remember the griefs of my nation. And I tell you, right this moment, and I honestly believe, it's not a rhetoric, it's not a political statement, a genocide is taking place in Sindh. In April, May, there were the international meteorological organizations and the meteorological organizations of Pakistan. They say that there will be exceptional rains in July, August time. So they warned, and they were repeated. Then there were some even research papers because of these weather fronts, how they were accumulating and all that. And these rains came towards end of July and August. When they were warned 3-4 months in advance, did they do any measures for the damage limitation, for the mitigation? The answer is simply no. Because at that time, there was this circus taking place at the Pakistan's political stage, and God knows what was happening of this. That was their priority. People never have been priority, and particularly people of the oppressed nations is never their priority. And there are millions, you need to understand. So the rains came, Sindh, which is undoubtedly, without any doubt, is the richest part of Pakistan because it gives Pakistan 70% of its wealth. Because of this continuous exploitation and oppression and corruption, people have been made poor. 75% were already poor. So when the rain came, the houses are poor. They went down. Pakistan's military is the 6th or 7th largest military in the world. I mean, can you believe? You won't believe it. In these circumstances, millions of people were impacted. Did they send a single boat? Can you believe that? Or a single helicopter? The answer is no. And then, why I call it genocide? Of course, there was rains. They warned before in advance. They didn't take any measures to protect the people, to take measures for damage limitation. At that point in time, the river Indus, at the upper part of Sindh, that was flowing at less than 10% of its capacity, and lower part closer to the sea, there were 1-2%. At Kotri Pare, there were less than 5%. So it was literally empty. And the rain that was falling, that was collected in the reservoirs, such as Manchur Lake, such as canals and all that. And once these canals and water reservoirs, they reached to its peak, to level, they were given cut. For example, I'll tell you one example. Manchur Lake is one of the biggest water reservoir of the entire South Asia. Its capacity is 740 million meter cubes. 740 million. Just imagine, if in this room we leave only 100 meter cubes of water, we all will drown. And these were 740 million meter cubes of water. In total, if you consider all these reservoirs, there were more than 1 billion meter cubes of water was left loose on Sindhi people. What would happen? More than 20 million people were impacted. 8 million people become homeless, and nobody came to their help. More than 1,000 drowned, and then the people who drowned died because of the diseases and all that. That is more than that. There's one of the definition of genocide is when you inflict the conditions of life on a group, whether a national, ethnic, religious, or whatever, would cause large scale death and destruction in whole or a part is a genocide. What would you call this? And even after 7 months, they didn't bother to take water from anywhere that gathered in the towns and cities and villages. 89% of Sindh was impacted. 5 million hectares of land was inundated. They didn't take water from a single village and town. They were going around in the world for aid. They came in the UN through showcase that we need, people are suffering and all. So they were selling our miseries to get the aid, but not for the Sindhi people. Because I have been begging to IMF and to other, everywhere, every power in the world. So nothing is reaching there, and even the last report that came in March, that even today, there are 1.8 million people surrounded by stagnant waters after 7 months. And these stagnant waters, after 7 months, what will these be? Just imagine. These are the waters of death and poison and disease, full with microbes. And people are dying, and no numbers are coming. And all that aid came. Now even the Minister for Sindh are saying that federal government is not giving us money. So all that aid, and we said it a few months ago, that any aid that you give will not reach to us. That will go to the army, and that is what is happening. Now you decide, the international community decide, whether it is a genocide or not. Hundreds of people are dying every day because of diseases, because of malaria, because of cerebral malaria, because of hepatitis, because of typhoid. No numbers are coming. And just imagine the cruel insensitivity. When all these millions are displaced, they want to carry out the population census. I mean, in the emergency, they should leave everything to support the people who have been suffering, who are homeless, who are dying, who are diseased, who don't have to eat. People, in this month alone, there are 3 families who have committed suicide together with their children. There are individuals, that is, 3 children, they kill their children, then the husband and wife, they kill themselves, either by poisoning or whatever. People are killing themselves, and this situation is worsening. The international community And in these circumstances, where every effort should be to help these people for rehabilitation, they haven't built a single house. The tents that came for the help of people, they sold it. There was this earthquake in Turkey. They sent this aid, and when they opened it, it was the same aid that went for the flood victims from Turkey to Pakistan. This is the situation. So, Pakistan and Pakistan's army, because Pakistan is nothing you need to understand. It is army. There is no legal system, there is no political system, they all are collaborate, and whenever they want to change it, they can change it. Now, the international community need to understand. Do you want to help? Not 1 million, 10 million, 100, more than 150 million of the people of oppressed nations in Pakistan. Sindhis, Balochs, and Pashtuns, and Kashmiris. Do you want to help them? Or your decisions are overtaken by the geostrategic priorities. But you also need to understand that the geostrategic importance of Pakistan comes from Balochistan, Sindh, Pakhtunkhwa, Kashmir, Gilgit and Baltistan. All the 100%, if you combine these together, all the geostrategic importance for whatever global policy might be, that come from the nations that are oppressed. And you need to understand that Pakistan, which was a carrier of the geostrategic policies and all that, it is becoming an obligation. It is becoming a liability, not only for us, the oppressed nations, but for the international community as well. It is an existential threat. What is existential threat? A threat that threatens your existence. It is threat of the existence of Sindhi nation, of Baloch nation, of Pashtun nation, of Kashmir nation. Our existence is a threat. But you need to understand, it is a threat to the entire international community. And it is time to review your thinking. It is time to read to the policymakers of the world that they are in a position to stop this catastrophe, and it needs to be stopped. It needs to be stopped in the name of humanity. It needs to be stopped in the name of the world. It needs to be stopped even for the interest of the international community. Let me work for it. The only way forward is still there is no other way except to carry on the struggle on the ground and to convince and tell the international community that these genocides, these should stop. And hopefully, with our struggle, with our consistency, the international community will listen our voices of suffering and pain. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Racing in Sindh and Pakistan international arena used to claim that he is the champion of right to self-determination of the people of Kashmir. But she is not ready to give right to self-determination to those Kashmiris who are living under Pakistani occupation, Pakistani occupied Kashmir and Pakistan. Nor she is willing to give right to self-determination to Sindhi people, Baloch people and Pashtun people. Now I would like to give floor to Mr. Munir Nengal. He is the president of Baloch Vice Association.
Thank you, Sardar Nasir Aziz Khan. I am highly thankful to UKPNP for organizing such events and highly honored by Sardar Shaukat Ali Kashmiri that giving us an opportunity to get together and say some words about their miseries. So, first of all, I'm pleased and honored by joining UKPNP. Mahmood Kashmiri is such a senior Kashmiri politician. Sir, I'm really pleased from the core of my heart. And this is what I have seen from UKPNP, that joining the different gems and stones of Kashmiri people
together at different times. So this is not first time. Many times they have done it and joined, slowly their people together. And I, at this achievement, it's a big honor for you, sir.
Thank you.
So with respect to commemoration, ceremony, I think the Kashmiri leaders, representatives, people, they have, whatever they have said, they will say. This event is a learning point for me because they know their history better than us. And this is what I have learned. I have seen this flag, a historical flag of Kashmir, on the UKPNP events, and now I know that this is a historical flag of the Kashmiri people. And in the same way, back at home, we, the Baloch, we are not allowed even to read anything about our history, so certainly we are not allowed to read anything about Kashmir. In the same way, Sindhi people, Pashtun people, our heroes, they demonstrate them as traitors. So their heroes means nothing to us. Their poets means nothing to us. But our poetry, our writings, our history, culture, identity, even we are not allowed to publish a book over there. And this is the same thing. Why we do not know more about Kashmir is because of the state of Pakistan. When I came here, I start, listening to UKPNP, the posters, the picture what Pakistan has painted about Kashmir and showed us in the books is not what the Kashmiri people are. There is only one slogan that there is a jihad in Kashmir. But the reality we hear from here, they have a culture, they have identity, they have a history, and they gone through the same cheating way from which we gone. We have a standard still agreement with Pakistan, Pakistan abused that. They have a standard still agreement, Pakistan abused that. Our people, are under occupation, suppression. Their people are also in the same way under oppression, suppression. The way Baloch mothers, sisters, on daily basis, on streets, press clubs, they are crying. And it is, even it's impossible to say how a brother can see that they are begging her sister in front of him, and how it's painful to see a father, how the army is dragging her daughter. And when a man in Avaran, the FC called him and asked him that your daughter has married a man, he's having a not good character, so please bring your daughter tomorrow to FC camp. And despite of bringing her daughter to the FC camp at night, the man hanged himself with a note that it's impossible for me to send my daughter to the FC camp. And today, hundreds of Baloch women are lingering in Pakistani FC camps, and they are being abused sexually. And the same way, earlier it was impossible, but now because of UKPNP, that they are organizing same sort of events, even back at Islamabad, Rawalpindi, and even different valleys. And from the social media, we are getting to know that they are in the same situation. Dr. Joseph said that human beings, they have the same nature, but unfortunately, we do not know this thing. We know only one thing, that Baloch, Sindhi, and Pakistani occupied Kashmiri and Pashtun people are in same condition. We know the condition because there's a state, they always put conditionalities on us. So, enforced disappearances, freedom of expression, and economical rights, social rights, these are the words we only see them in the books. Really, none of us has enjoyed it over there. And on daily basis, our people are being, abused, because whenever they try to raise their voice for these sort of rights. Therefore, at the end, if I say I'm showing my solidarity with the UKPNP or with the Kashmiri people, this is a small word and phrase. Because I myself have seen this thing, that these two iconic people, Sardar Shaukat Ali Kashmiri and Dr. Lakku Lohana, both of them, they had given us, guidance. They have given us an opportunity. So wherever, the Baloch needed, and these with personalities I have seen, I have experienced, I have got, that they have given us opportunity to raise our voices. So I'm highly thankful to you, sir, for all that, not only myself, not only my people, not Baloch nation, the whole Baloch nation is indebted to both of these personalities. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. He was speaking about Miraj by taking place in Balochistan, and as we have listened, Dr. Lakuluano Sahib, Munir Mengal Sahib, our friends, we have discussing from couple of days, we listened in the past as well, what Pashtun people are facing in Pakistan. This is tragedy, and international community should come forward and protect all oppressed nations. I would like to give floor now to Madam Maya MacDonald, former journalist and a Reuters bureau chief. Madam, you have the floor.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you pass me, please?
Thank you. I'll be brief because I know that getting late and you want to hear the main speaker, but let me just say, because it's 1846 that you're marking here today, I don't subscribe to the view, I know some international commentators do, that Jammu and Kashmir is an artificial state. I think it's absolutely fair to say that Gulab Singh forged a nation state in 1846 in a way that is comparable to the formation of nation states in Europe at the time. I mean, you guys will all remember Belgium, Italy around that time also became nation states. So in everything I do when I look at Jammu and Kashmir, I do always try and think of the entirety of Jammu and Kashmir rather than simply its constituent parts. However, and the rest of this is going to be a but, I started, when I was based in Delhi, I started going to Kashmir, to the valley, around 2000. And there was a really big spike in violence around then. You started seeing suicide attacks. You started seeing the multiple gunman attacks. And it was absolutely grim, suffocating, terrible for families, and dreadful for the young people that had to grow up through that. And, it has got better in the valley, and whatever else anybody thinks should happen now, I think we should at least be clear that we should not want to go back to those very, very dark days of the 90s, or even at the height of the insurgency, or even like the times when I was going. So where do you go then? Well, you need to think, okay, what about diplomacy? Obviously, it's impossible to achieve anything without India and Pakistan talking to each other. I personally had quite high hopes of the talks between envoys of Manmohan Singh and Musharraf, which got quite near, as you all know, to a sort of draft settlement in 2006. I've talked to both sides who were involved. I'm not 100% convinced that it would have worked in reality, but it was a very, very good framework, basically. But it did accept that there would be no exchange of territories, that there would be autonomy on both sides of the line of control, that the border becomes the IB. And I still think of all the ideas floating around, I thought that was the most promising, because it would allow people, especially the borders becoming irrelevant, people getting to talk, to trade with each other, to travel, to get educated. And yes, it is never going to be the dream of an independent Jammu and Kashmir, but it was actually a very good blueprint for making people's lives better. And when we talk about freedom, as you did so well, then it has to be also the freedom from fear, the freedom from violence, often imposed by, as happens so much in the valley, other people. I mean, jihadis coming in from Pakistan, deciding that they were there to liberate the Kashmiris and creating absolute mayhem. as I say, I continued to track that, various attempts between India and Pakistan to try and revive that draft framework for a peace agreement. And it did, in fact, stutter on for quite a few years. I think to my mind, there was more willingness, certainly, on the part of the Manmohan Singh government in India to push it forward than in Pakistan, which I find has, as you've clearly, with the dominance of the army, structural reasons for resisting any peace agreement. But what I would say is, obviously you all know India has changed. When we got to 2019 and India, first of all, revoked the autonomy of Jammu and Kashmir, which was the thing that got all the attention, to me, I thought the more significant thing was the bifurcation of the former Indian state of Jammu and Kashmir and the fact that he separated out Ladakh from Jammu and Kashmir. And to me, that was actually, the state has been disaggregated over the decades, clearly from 1947 onwards, and then in different ways that Pakistan administered Kashmir from Gilgit-Baltistan. But I think the final, you're going to hate this, but I'm going to say the final kind of almost, I think it's fatal wound actually to the existence of Jammu and Kashmir as a state entity really came with the breakup of Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir. However, and I'm going to finish now, I know I have to say something positive at the end. So, yeah, I think the idea of an independent state has gone, but I mean, the world can change in 30, 40 years. I would argue that what matters now are the young people growing up who need actually to have a chance to think about their futures as ordinary people, particularly in the valley, but also in other places that have suffered from violence. Let them take their time. There may, things change all the time, and there may come a time in 10, 20, 30 years' time where the connections between the different parts of what was the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir come together again. And I would say, in the meantime, while letting those young people live their lives, there should still be room for pressing historical connectivities, cultural connectivities between, I was talking this morning about transport links. I mean, everyone talks about the Karakoram Highway, where we should be talking more about people between Skardu and Kargil beginning to be able to travel more easily. So I think there's a lot that can be done in terms of thinking culturally about the interconnectedness of the different parts of Jammu and Kashmir that can that actually, I wouldn't quite like to say to keep the dream alive, because I think we do have to accept that it's not going to happen in the near term, but at least allows the connections between people that allow them to start opening up the region a bit and do what we all want, which is to let the youth not live hostage to something that's been going on for 70 years. Thank you.
Thank you. In 1947, at that time, it was right of the head of the princely state that he or she can decide whether this state will join India, Pakistan, and remain independent. Overruler decided to remain independent. Pakistan signed a standstill agreement. She violated. In few weeks, they invaded Jammu and Kashmir and compelled overruler to seek help from India. Then India came in Kashmir through a treaty of accession, and she made pledges with Kashmiris that she will push back all invaders and she will protect life, liberty and property of the Kashmiris. And Pakistan was asked by United Nations, she agreed with the UN that she will withdraw its troops from Kashmir. She didn't comply with that resolution, and India couldn't rejoin our whole state. But this is not easy task, we know, but we are demanding that our people should have freedom of movement. They should have right to interact with each other. There should be trade, and this state should be a buffer state between all countries, and slowly, gradually let them interact with each other. Later they can decide whether they want to join India, Pakistan, or remain independent. This is our struggle. Thank you very much. You gave very nice examples, try to educate us, but we are optimists and we are struggling. Hopefully these states will realize and someday we will be reunited. Now I would like to give floor to Fazal Khan Advocate Sahib. He is the Pashtun activist. He lost his son in Peshawar army school attack. We extend, sir, our solidarity and full support to you.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much, respected Sardar Shaukat Kashmiri Saab, President, United Kashmir National Party, for inviting me, providing me this floor, and it's a great honor for me. I'm thankful to Jamil Maqsood Saab for presenting the Kashmir case in a very detailed way. To be very honest, we people, like I would say about my nation, we are completely unaware of what was going on in Kashmir and Jammu, and I have seen for the first time the flag. It's embarrassing, and it's a shame that we living practically in one area are unaware of each other. We were never taught this in school or in college. The mainstream media is anyway black out. No one has the right to approach there, and only the state narrative can be seen on national media and print and electronic media. I also welcome Mr. Mahmood Kashmiri for joining this great organization, and I hope and I pray that together you people, and of course we are also with you. In fact, if we see the history, it's very dark, and let us not talk about the dark, and hope and believe for the future, for the coming bright future. I'm really ashamed of that how our people are used against Kashmiris, and in Jammu and Kashmir, how they've been used by military establishment, I would call it. They were used like tissue paper and then thrown. The same situation as today, Mr. Qureshi was speaking to me, that history repeats itself. So today, if we see, many of you also will be unaware of what is going on our part of the world, I would say. Being a direct victim of terrorism, we are continuously seeing very ruthlessly. Actually, my request and opinion would be that what's gone is gone. Now there is no British rulers. There is no any invader, I would say, from any other country. But we have to identify our enemy. We have to identify and diagnose the disease. That is, in fact, Pakistani military establishment, which sits in the GHQ, few journals, and they carry on what they are doing. Mr. Dr. Lakono, respected sir, explained in very detail about what is going on in Sindh. In a very systematic way, the genocide of small nations are underway. and they never want these small oppressed nations to be together and identify the real enemy and to stand against them. So if we see, you might would have heard of Pashtun Tahaffuz movement, a recent uprising which actually, for right at this moment, they do not believe in parliamentary politics, but the main basic objective or aim is to identify the enemy, that is, as we believe, that is Pakistani military establishment. In a very systematic way, they have, and they very proudly confessed that yes, these Taliban or Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan or whatever you name it, I name them terrorists. So they are originally created by them, trained by them, used by them, and unfortunately today also they are using it. And obviously everyone knows their agenda, their personal gains, their wealth. For them, the bloodshed, the blood of small nations, every single person, no matter for them. For them only to fill their banks, their bank balances, and they have to like enjoy luxurious life. So my humble request would be, and I'm just surprised, and it was indeed totally new information for me and what's going on, and because totally, as I told you, that we were totally unaware of what is going on here in Kashmir, in Jammu. The request would be to let us unite hands, our full solidarity as a Pashtun nation. My Baloch brother Munir Mengal, thanks to him, he has very beautifully explained. We have a lot to do. Pakistani military intelligence, what you name it, ISI or MI, whatever you call it, they are actually right now the ruler of Pakistan. They decide, they forward their agenda, how they implement by sometime imposing a puppet government in Pakistan, a puppet parliament, and through them they pass whatever law, whatever bill they want. And through their, what they call them, their assets, they send them to Kashmir for the so-called jihad and things like that. And as a result, who suffer, that is we together as small nation. So identify them, and we have to raise our voice on every possible forum and try to work jointly. I wouldn't take too much time. It's very new things I have learned from you people, and I hope and I believe that together, inshallah, we'll do a lot more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Fazil Khan, Advocate Sahib.
Thank you.
For your comprehensive representation here for Pashtun people, and you share many things with us. Actually, media is controlled by Pakistan, and all historical nations, they are not allowed to print their history and what we have taught in schools. This is Pak studies.
Pak study, exactly.
And there are all fabricated stories. There is nothing to do with the history. And this is not our fault because we are occupied and we cannot print our even map in Azad Kashmir, so-called Azad Kashmir. We cannot print our books about the history of Kashmir. They banned many books, booklets, newspapers, and we are not allowed to print our map of the whole state of Jammu and Kashmir. Thank you very much, sir. Before giving floor to my last panelist, I am very grateful to delegation of FSAS, our Sindhi friends, Baloch friends, Pashtun friends, delegation from United Kingdom, Sardar Amjad Yusuf Sahib, Sardar Tariq Sahib, Tai Sahib, our respected ladies who came from UK, Madam Myra, thank you very much. Our friends from United Nations, they are also always support us in United Nations. Here, your presence is very much honor for us. Thank you very much. And our friends from media, JKTV, ANI, Yunus Khan Sahib, thank you very much for your coverage and your support. I would like to give floor to Sardar Shaukat Ali Kashmiri Sahib. He is the chairman of United Kashmir People's National Party.
And all of my friends and Junaid Qureshi. First of all, I would like to thank again Mr. Fazal Khan, advocate. His sacrifices is lot. But my problem is that whenever I stand up and I want to share my heart, my misery, I'm unable to calculate or prioritize which issue is more important, because we are surrounding by the many problems. Here, one of our sisters, she is from Mirpur originally, but she is the British citizen. Her brother visited Islamabad and reserved a room and stay there. But one day, they received an information that he has died and he has buried without prior permission of the parents or relatives. Normally, when a person from any other country dies in Switzerland, the Swiss authorities first inform the Pakistani embassy or African embassy, or the persons where he belongs. But they did not inform British embassy, they did not inform the relatives, and last many months they are trying to file a FIR that at least they want to know how our brother has died. What was the reasons? Because there was no postmortem, there was no any inquiry, and so many, after so many struggle, then she is able to get the FIR, first information report from the police station. Because she has some funds. Then she approached High Court, Supreme Court, and after all, but still she is worried. One day she is going to Islamabad. Of course, she is a professional. But the authorities, it is the prime responsibility of the authorities. Under what circumstances he died, they should inform her, they should satisfy her. But no, nobody is ready to listen there. And this is not the one case. We Kashmiri, frankly speaking, Mr. Joseph advises us, thematically he he educates us. My dear sir, we have surrendered our sovereignty. We have surrendered our natural resources. We allow them to rule us. But you should consider that our life is matter. You just consider us that we are human beings. They imposed the proxies. I don't want to go into history because history is our issue. Our children, our nation should know the real history. But at least in 21st century, we are divided. Our families, not only our land divided, our families divided. Our all human rights is compromised. We rule by one act. And in 21st century, Pakistan sent the land officers. Land officers mean that we are not able to run the administrations. We need, because we have no education, we have nothing, and we are unable to become the head of the institutions. So all the officer, all the head of the institutions, top institutions like police, like finance, like civil services, they all came from Pakistan, they are Pakistani. And actually, they are our rulers. And some of the proxies, and other problems, that if I say something regarding truth, regarding my rights, regarding my history or culture, one fatwa issued by the state that he is Indian agent. So a whole nation become the target of the agents. I am Indian agent, the other is Pakistani agents. Indian says they are the Pakistani agents, and Pakistani says those who are saying something here, they are Indian agents. Oh, India giving them money. Because we are asking why you are diverting the natural flow of the rivers, and when they dig out the tunnels, the agrarian part, the people who live on mountains, their drinking water is disappeared because tunnel actually shake the water. So agrarian parts, not due to any other compulsions, in the search of water, they are moving from their own native areas just for the water. Because Pakistan is not providing them. Whereas we have 5 rivers, and everybody knows, only that area which is known as state of Jammu Kashmir is in very much rich in the water resources. But Pakistan did not allow us to use our water for the irrigation purposes, and that's why our land is not fertile. And when we are talking about that, at least I am allowed to take part in the elections to get the mandate from the people, then what they ask me, what they impose me, they're asking, no, first you should sign and give us the oath that I am loyal citizen of Pakistan. Whereas the Pakistani constitution did not recognize me as citizen of Pakistan. A mockery. And it is very difficult to understand what community. One hand, Pakistan always propagating right to self-determination of the Kashmiri people. I am champion of this. But other hand, the people who lived under his administrations, they did not recognize their identity. latest, in the census, that portion is totally deleted, where the people of Azad Kashmir or people of Gilgit-Baltistan recognize themselves that they are the citizen or they are the basically native of this area. So, by design, they are forcing us that you don't claim that you are Galgiti, you are Balti, you are Kashmiri, you are Mirpuri, you are Muzaffarabadi. So whole Kashmiri diaspora and inside the Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan people are protesting. And they booked in Gundayat, like in Muzaffarabad. Our party student wing organized a protest and asked authorities to include us, include us as recognized as our local language. Today, they filed a FIR against them, and 11 students is arrested. And before, they were organizing a protest against the invasion that we call Black Day. Like 27 October, when our state was attacked, and due to that attack, we are divided, our families divided, people are displaced. They again arrested them, and the proceedings against them was in a Gunda Act. Whereas in Pakistan or in the law, there is no such kind of a act. But just to harass, just to ask them to be silent, if you say something regarding your rights, your life becomes hell in this area. And the other things, I am asking the world community leaders, human rights defenders, can anybody dare to ask Pakistan to define her local stand-I on the Kashmir? What is his local stand-I? India claimed India has the title because the rulers signed a treaty. Maybe we can differ that treaty. But what is the local stand-I of Pakistan? He is simply, in my eyes, not only my eyes, my experience or my juridical knowledge, simply illegal occupier. They are offering us, oh, you keep quiet, what you want. We will provide you all facilities. You can become part of the government. I was asking, I don't need any kind of power. You just recognize our areas, their rights, and give them constitutionally space. Because I cannot access any course. When I was kidnapped, my parents, party fellows, they filed a habeas corpus writ petitions. 9.5 months, with the evidence, 500 people appear in the court that in our presence, this number was, the vehicle number was this, and it is the ISI people who kidnapped Shaukat Kashmiri. Even the local police, there was a link road, one bridge between which is separated from Pakistani area and the Kashmir. That's called the Tyne Bridge. And that police officers, he also asked them, we stopped that vehicles, and they are asking, you cannot check our vehicles? We are from IS. And same minutes, we were informed by our local police that Mr. Kashmiri has been kidnapped by the ISI. And when I was released with many threats, I went to court in the Supreme. I approached the High Court Chief Justice and a petition filed against my illegal kidnapping. That what was my fault. If I committed any crimes or I violated any law, so then they should trial me. Why you are sitting? But the judge was so under pressure. He say in our language, "Aisa to hosta hai, aise kaam ho." And how we can translate it?
This sort of things happen in this.
I was asking, no. This can happen in those areas where there is no rule of law, judiciary is not independent, and the institutions are not credible. And you cannot access our areas without prior permission, although you have a visa of Pakistan. But you cannot visit POK until and unless the Interior Ministry is not such kind on you. They can allow only those people. But sometimes the international organizations like European Union or British Parliament members, they visited our areas. Under the severe surveillance of the intelligence agencies, and the mockery is that those officers, those people who are from the intelligence agencies, that day they wear suits, some are wear sherwani and janaka, and present them to the European Parliament members or any delegations. And they explain that in POK, everything is fine. Azad Kashmir, every person enjoys basic rights. Then I wrote a letter to the European Parliament that at least you people should come on in street or at least access with the board where the attorneys are there. They can explain you. You are always on the government vehicles, and local people is not allowed to meet you. And they are all intelligent people. They are briefing you that in POK there is. Then European Union sent a reporter under the leadership of Ahmed Nicholson, and she compiled a report regarding Gilgit-Baltistan, whole state of Jammu Kashmir. What is the prospect? How many people? So it is in the report, European Union, and that report is on their website, declared that the POK people, Gilgit people, have no representation in any constitutional forum. Nobody is ready to listen their voices. Their actual ruler is not the Prime Minister, not the President, so-called President, but their actual ruler is the land officer. It is on the report. And that was published in 2007, and very debate in the European Parliament, and Pakistan published a report that in Gilgit-Baltistan people, what is their education ratio, what is their per month income, per capita income, and all papers, all writing in the papers and presenting in the European Union that in Gilgit-Baltistan and POK, these facilities are available for the people. So one of the MPs, he was asking, after reading this report submitted by the government of Pakistan, I regret why I should born in Belgium. Why you should not born in Kashmir? Where this kind of facilities which we have not enjoying here. The people who are, so it is the state propaganda. When we have no free elections, when we have no free independent judiciary, when we are discriminated on the basis of our ethnicity and ruled for foreigners in the name of land officers, when if anybody who stand the history or the culture or the people, natural resources, he becomes the Indian agent. And one hand Pakistan propagating, oh, our environment is very bad and we are facing floods and this kind, but we have no heavy industry. But other hands, in Azad Kashmir, the forest land is allotted to the military, and all tourist spots where the people were visited there, now it is under the military. And military that, when you allow the army to use the forest land, and there is the one Prime Minister, whereas our Act did not allow to buy or to transfer any property to the non-Kashmiri, non-state subject, but Prime Minister declared that in the name of Sindh, in the name of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, in the name of Gilgit-Baltistan, they are allotting the Kashmiri land to their respective party which they belongs. And court is unable to take any kind of cognizance. So I think you people who have the access, we don't need thematical education. We need practical support. And that practical support is that you ask United Nations to send a fact-finding mission to check what the people are facing, what kind of. And since 1947, all the religion of Islam, used as tool and for their own gain. And everywhere we are facing mullahs, funded by, supported by the Pakistani intelligence agencies. That's why we have Lashkar-e-Taiba, we have Hizbul Mujahideen, we have Jaish-e-Mohammed. All these prescribed organizations are operating in that area. And just 3 days ago, one organized student organization, National Student Federation, he also a long march near the line of control. The point was the Tatri Note. And when a speaker, he was actually addressing the protesters, abruptly they were attacked by the Hizbul Mujahideen and Lashkar-e-Taiba. Thanks to the social media, it is all captured in the video. One hand Pakistan asking for them, oh, I have dismantled all the terrorist infrastructure. But we are witness, we are belong from that areas. We have relatives, we have friends, we have party members. So I think we should revisit our thematic things and focus on those issues which our world is facing, oppressed people are facing, and facing discriminations. How many blows are missing? There once organized a protest from Kohota to Islamabad, and protesting, and so many leaders of the ruling elite addressing them. when they were in the opposition. But now, when they become in powers, they are not able to say one remedial words in favor of them. And courts, every day, they are indulging themselves for the transferring one officer transfer to other. Supreme Court take sumo actions. That why explaining, ask the government to explain us and stop them. But above 10,000 Baloch are missing. They are facing persecution in the concentrated centers. But that court is keep quiet, keep silent. And same is the case. How many Hindu girls? Only the minor girls accepted Islam, but no men, no elder is impressed by the Islam. And then when they force them, kidnap them, and ultimately ask them to and forcefully converted them into Islam, then court asks, oh, in Islam, if anybody who one time enter in Islam, then only her head can be. But we are not allowed. We have no freedom. But what kind of a freedom of religion they are asking? Oh, every religious minority has the freedom of. First of all, I have right to choose my religious faith. But in Pakistan, I have no right to choose the political faith. So religious faith, religion using them for their own ruling elites and the army to push them the other side of Kashmiri. So since 1947, it is the only Kashmiri in that region who are facing theofascism, who are facing worst kind of terrorism, extremism, and over society which were before 1947. Excellent harmony was there. But now, slowly, they radicalize them and they communalize our society. And now, just befooling the world community, oh, no, here is no any problem. But people knows what they are facing. Neither judiciary, nor police, or any institution who is somehow serving the people. We surrender our Kashmirian. We surrender our sovereignty. But even then, now they are asking, no, your life is not matter. So this kind of facing our people, so let them support and sympathize with them and ask government Pakistan, because you are all influential people. Your voice is more powerful than 100,000 people in Kashmir, from Kashmir. Your voice is so much powerful than whole Baloch nations. But we can ratify our history. We can try our best to protect our culture. We can sacrifice for our people. But at least the world community should play, human rights defenders should play a role to protect the life and liberty of the common people. We are not asking you for our political agenda. We are not asking you to support UKPNP. But at least there is the people. Their life should be matters. People should understand that if the whole nation is under attack due to their natural resources, due to the government brutal policies or their gains. So one question I request all of you, whenever you have access with any Pakistani official, Ask them what is your locus standi on Kashmir. Have you any agreement with the Kashmiris? United Nations asked Pakistan, and it is agreed document, and you people can read it yourself. It was called the Truce Agreement. Truce Agreement is an agreed document where Pakistan agreed that she should withdraw its troops, and those people who enter in Kashmir for the purpose of fighting, like some of Pashtun tribal men, it was hired by the George Cunningham. And George Cunningham, you know, what first he issued the order? A legitimate, democratic, elected government of Khan, he dismissed him. And that's why the people discussing about Jinnah's democratic credentials. So I take your too much time, sorry for boring you. And no census, I explained them. The census